From London, I'm Rochelle Travers, and this is The Standard. Is the UK about to become a completely cashless society? The Standard can reveal that the Royal Mint has been told by the Treasury that it would not have to mint any new 1p and 2p coins for general circulation this year, and doesn't expect to order any more in the coming years. Treasury officials are to propose options to ministers over the future of the coins, including a scenario in which they are phased out from circulation, but no official decision has been made yet. The proposals, which have not been finalised, are set to put pressure on ministers for a decision over the future of UK coinage. The move follows a continued decline in cash transactions, as many British businesses now opt to only take cashless payments. Our Business and Technology Correspondent Simon Hunt is behind the story. Simon, have we seen the last of 1p and 2p coins then?
Well, it's quite possible. I mean, there haven't been any new 2p coins minted by the Royal Mint since 2021, according to its official statistics. And people I've spoken to inside the Treasury say they don't think there'll be any more made, that they're going to stop minting 1 and 2p coins altogether. And they are preparing, although they haven't confirmed yet, to phase them out. So that'll mean that whatever's left in circulation will carry on for a while, but eventually there would like to be an end date when they will stop being legal tender and people will be asked to hand in their old coins.
What's the potential impact of this? Does this mean that prices are going to have to change because we won't have enough of these types of coins?
Well, it's possible. I mean, it might be the case that, for example, supermarkets decide that they'll denominate all of their prices in multiples of 5p now. So you get prices like $1.95 instead of $1.99 for products on the shelves. Or, I mean, in other places where this has happened, in other countries, supermarkets have tended to round up shopping bills at the end of a shop. So if your order came out as £8.97, that might be rounded up to £9 or rounded down to £8.95. But it's unlikely that even if this did happen, it would have any inflationary effect. Bank of England did a study on this about 5 years ago, and it concluded that the phase out of 1p and 2p coins was unlikely to have any significant inflationary effect.
How unusual is this? Has anything like this ever happened before?
Well, I mean, over the history of the Great British Pound, which stretches back quite a while, there have been changes to the way coins are denominated. The biggest one in sort of modern times was 1971, when the pound was decimalised, and so you stopped having things like shillings and that kind of thing. The biggest, most recent change was 1984, when the halfpenny was taken out of circulation because it was concluded that it wasn't valuable enough to be used regularly. So this is sort of a continuation of that.
Do you think this is the start of us essentially becoming a completely cashless society?
I definitely think some people will interpret it as the first big step towards a path towards becoming a cashless society. But personally, I think we're probably several decades away from that happening, if it ever does. If you speak to the Treasury, they'll probably say that, well, in the history of the Treasury over centuries, they've always changed the sort of mix of coins that exist in circulation. They've done this lots of times before. In 1971, the UK currency was decimalised, and in 1984, the halfpenny was taken out of circulation as well. So they might argue that it's sort of a continuation of that rather than a phase out of cash altogether. But certainly, in terms of how popular cash is, it's been declining pretty rapidly over the last few years. There was something like 20 billion cash transactions made in the UK a decade ago, and last year it fell to about 6 billion, whereas debit card payments now account for the majority of transactions in the UK. So whether or not more coins get phased out, fewer and fewer people are using cash anyway. And indeed, if you walk around high streets in London now, there are quite a lot of places that don't accept cash anyway.
There was the global IT outage recently, which highlighted how reliant we are on the internet and tech in general. If we were to become a completely cashless society, this is something that will need to be looked at, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you do get the sense that, from the huge IT outage we had on Friday, that, the sort of systems, the sort of cloud-based systems on which so much of our sort of daily infrastructure relies on is quite precarious. Most of the time, almost every day, it works completely fine.
But if something big goes wrong, well, it can cascade into affecting entire companies, entire payment systems, online banking, and all the rest of it. So definitely, a lot of people think that part of the reason we need to keep cash is as a hedge to make sure we've still got alternative ways of paying for when something like this happens. But of course, that is, first of all, it's extremely rare for that to happen, which is partly why it was so shocking when it did happen. And in any case, when it comes to sort of large value transactions, but virtually no one has the amount of cash to cover those anyway. I might be able to pay for my shop at the supermarket if my card stopped working, but, I'm not able to buy a house or a car or something. So I think that the chances of having to rely on cash are still pretty low.
As you mentioned, being cashless is hugely popular now in shops, restaurants, and other businesses. Are there any rules around this? There are some people who need to use cash and might struggle to pay for things otherwise.
I mean, certainly there aren't any sort of strict rules about what payments that particular shops or high street retailers have to accept or decline. And certainly the sort of relationship between using cash and cards has changed a lot, even in the last 20 years. I can remember as a kid, walking into a small independent shop and they might not accept card or not accept certain types of card. And part of that was because they faced additional costs in having to process those payments relative to handling cash. Today, though, that's kind of flipped on its head. So now, actually, for some small independent retailers, it's more costly to handle cash than it is to process transactions via card, because those costs have gone down so much, and the sort of technology has got so much better, and so many more people use contactless, so it's actually cheaper for them now. But certainly, campaigners have argued that there should be some kind of set of rules in place to force retailers to have to accept a variety of different means of payments, including cash. And the UK's financial regulator, the FCA, has today said that it wants banks and building societies to ensure that people still have access to cash in the future, whether that's by forcing them to keep branches open in certain areas, blocking them from shutting ATMs so people still have one that's within walking distance from their high street or whatever. So I think there's definitely going to be, something of a debate to take place over, should being able to pay for something with cash be some kind of fundamental right? And if so, what kind of rules need to be put in place to give consumers those protections?